Guys, it's the Blocks podcast. My guest today has a new tour called the Effervescent Tour. He's been a crusher for, we'll go 25, 30 years.
Yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah. Don't agree with it. And he was in Ratatouille.
Get to your stations. Let's go, go, go.
Pure poetry.
Did great in that. He's in all kinds of stuff. He's a great comedian. You've done a lot of shit.
I love that I did great in something. Hey, he did
you
that.
You did great. And
a lot of people don't do that well in Ratatouille. I did pretty good.
A lot of people step up to Ratatouille.
A lot of
and
comedians
fail.
are in. They will do their time in Ratatouille and it doesn't work. And
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
You got your shot.
Yeah, man.
When Ratatouille called you over.
Ratatouille, and Ratatouille comes for every comedian.
Yes.
But I did really good in it.
You did great in Ratatouille.
Yeah.
He's just done a bunch of shit, and he's great, and he's interesting, and his name is Patton Oswalt. Fake round of applause. Fantastic.
Yes,
nice
exactly.
to see you. Nice to see you.
It's
nice to see you.
so good to see you. Hi.
Now, I look at you, and
Why?
Well, I have no choice.
Oh, that's true. We are sitting across from each other.
How did this all turn out, do you think?
You know what? I don't know yet. You still don't know because that you could talk to a certain person when they're at a career peak, and literally 2 years later they can be suddenly struggling and sort of in the wilderness for a while. If you would ask Brendan Fraser, hey, how did it turn out while he's doing all these massive movies? He's like, it's awesome.
Whoa, baby.
And then you get him during the last 20 years, he's like, I'm kind of lost right now. And then,
so do you pay attention to it? Do you ever take stock, or do you just go, when are you finally getting...
Yes, and I wish I didn't. I wish I wasn't as aware of the peaks and valleys. I like show business. I read a lot of showbiz biographies, so a lot of times I'll try to transpose however it is I'm feeling on someone else's story, and then you have to stop
on
yourself.
Errol Flynn.
Yes. No. God, no. I'm not in Tahiti marrying 11-year-olds.
Is that what he did?
He was one of the worst human beings on the planet. Oh,
what
my
a
God.
coincidence.
Oh, my God. What do you mean, what a coincidence?
No, of course. That's always how it is.
Oh, okay.
Of course.
Yeah, you can't put because whatever your thing is going to be, you're in the middle of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You're not looking back. Don't live your life like you're sitting and it's all been cataloged and you're looking back on it. Show up every day and try to live each day. And by the way, this is advice that I very rarely take and I'm just now trying to implement, but try to live each day. It's up to other people to sort out your life and go through all of it later.
Let's do some blocks. Well, all right. Well, this is interesting. Yeah. The Phantom Gallery of Non-Sellouts. I would like to start with Phantom Gallery of Non-Sellouts. I think I know what you're going to say, and I'm interested.
This is when you're young and you're struggling, and I think even more so because of the scene I came out of, the whole alt scene, and we were all about, I'm not doing this, I'm not selling out, I'm never going to do a sitcom, never going to blah, blah, blah. Well, that's people...
Well, while you were talking, I remember you were on The King of Queens for like 7 years.
Well, I hope everyone saves room for dessert. I was listening to Beck last night. I got crazy, and I put chocolate chips in my macaroons.
Exactly. I was on a sitcom after I
You
said,
were in the
I'm
Diablo
never doing a sitcom.
Cody movie. You were great in that.
Are you fucking kidding?
Yeah, but you have all this. I think a lot of times when you're starting out, and I'm actually glad that there's the wave that's coming up is way more realistic about what a long career in show business looks like. You have this, because you haven't really formed who you are, it's way easier to define who you are by what you hate, because there's no risk in hating shit.
And you
there's
also
no risk
haven't done anything. So
it's bullshit. And also you say that because secretly I think that you're terrified that no one is buying what I want to sell.
Yeah.
But you keep there's that weird gallery in your head, and sometimes it's versions of people that have since matured, but you're performing for an earlier version of them when you guys were both broke and you were going to stay pure and you were going to stay on the edge, and then opportunities come along that you feel like because you're only judging yourself by that first standard, you're like, oh, you're constantly second guessing what you're doing, but in the long run, I'm in this because I want to work. I want to be doing things, and I want to be doing film, TV, writing, now comic books, now hosting a game show.
No!
The 1% Club.
so I can keep my visibility up and keep doing stand-up.
Yeah.
And to keep that going. So, there's always going to be that phantom gallery that's going to make you, oh, wait, I know. I mean, I'm sure that Richard Dreyfuss, when he first signed up for Jaws, was like, think of everything that's going on in New Hollywood right now with Scorsese and Bob Rafelson.
Yep.
And I'm shooting a giant rubber shark movie up in Martha's Vineyard. What the hell is going? Like, you don't know what the next deep art, where it will come from and what it can be, unless you show up and make it that thing. But you're not going to do that if you're always going to be trying to please this phantom gallery.
Who's in your gallery?
My gallery is the whole scene I came up with. Me, David Cross.
Wow, look at that gallery.
Yeah, because I talked to Cross about the
Karen Kilgariff.
sanctimony.
Yes.
And the righteousness of that whole scene.
We were all terrified. We were terrified. That's the core of it. We were all terrified of not looking cool, and a lot of us chose cool over funny. And as Chris Rock says, cool is the opposite of funny. And so it took me a long time to kind of get over that. And every now and then it still crops up, but then I'm just like, no, I want to work.
Yeah.
Showed up to work. This is ridiculous.
But you seem to like King of Queens. You did in the night. When did you start that? 95 or something?
98, which was kind of when the alt scene was starting to fracture a little bit. I mean, a lot of the alt scene I thought was really great creative-wise. It just wasn't very good real-world-wise and practical-wise. The creativity was amazing, but then there was a lot of there was a hot house mentality of, I just perform in alt rooms.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's going to really limit your career, you know? And then once I got on King of Queens, the writing was fantastic. All the writers were nutballs, stoners doing weird, slipping in weird little things. Kevin James is a fucking brilliant actor. He's up there with in my, and this is just being a showbiz nerd. Jackie Gleason was this huge guy that could seem really, really delicate.
I forgot that you're a woman. How could I? You're always yapping.
And then Danny DeVito is this tiny guy that can seem like a tidal wave. And Kevin James is this perfect combination of both of them. His sense of balance and his sense of rhythm and timing is so kind of doesn't match the way his body is.
Yeah.
So he can seem really small and delicate and then suddenly explode. And it's just, he's one of those like kind of once in a lifetime, like television actors. And I'm not saying television actors like, oh, he's just, no. Acting on TV in a 4-camera sitcom is so hard to make it look natural. It is really hard. It is such a weird skill. And he just absolutely nailed it.
I have a huge surprise for you.
You're pregnant.
Yes! No!
Thank God!
Dude, stop!
In every movie I've seen him in Hitch. Yeah! And then he made a movie called Becky, which is, he played like this really scary villain.
Well, that leaves little Becky. Where's Becky?
Wait!
Like, was brilliant in it. So he's always, been one of those, oh, wait a minute. I have to get out of this little sanctimonious hothouse and look and see that there's talent and genius everywhere. Just because it happens to be in a sitcom that we arbitrarily decided is not art. No, there are doing a good sitcom is really freaking hard to do.
10 people have done it.
Exactly.
What is your emotional makeup? Because none of these are emotional, and I'm more the thing I'm interested in you is like, what's it like to be you? Are you just sort of, are all these like hobbies a way to hide? Like,
yeah, probably. I mean, there's a look. I grew up in the 70s and 80s, so there was a lot of, I had that shit hammered into me that men do this, and, so I'm still fighting that thing. I am. On the inside, I'm extreme. I'm in show business. I'm a raw nerve. I'm very emotional. And like the fact that I act and I write, you have to be open to that. But I think in order to function every day, because I've also then, on top of being a raw nerve and on top of being very emotional, I've chosen comedy. And so, which is even more vulnerable being a stand-up. So yeah, there is, I probably I've definitely built a callus around myself, a callus of cynicism and silliness to kind of breeze through life, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is it?
Or at least to seem like I'm breezing through life.
Yeah. It's like the nerd thing in quotes, but it's all for weird, like you're high status in Nerdville.
Yes, I'm a nerd capo. I wouldn't say I'm a nerd godfather, but I'm definitely a soldier. One thing I learned very, very quickly being in the alt scene, I'm sure you saw this too, the nerds very, very quickly became the jocks.
Yeah.
Nobody excludes harder than the previously excluded.
Uh-huh.
The people that used to be on the outs, when they get their chance, they will start excluding like fucking crazy.
They're not anti-bully; they're anti-being bullied.
Yes, thank you very much. And if look, any proof of that, go on Twitter.
Yeah,
that, it's
or Reddit or 4chan
anything. Yeah, exactly. And I understand that it is a very basic human concept. I don't want to be a victim, but a lot of times, you cannot be a victim. But you don't need to gather other victims around you to show that you're not victimized. But that's a very hard level of wisdom to get to that I don't think I've gotten to fully. I still have those moments when I'm just, I'm very emotional. I get very vengeful sometimes. You carry a lot of, I remember being picked on and you want to, it's hard to embrace that because you have to embrace a very embarrassing part of yourself and part of your past. But if you can really embrace it, you can stop yourself from then passing that along. You can kind of stop that shit from happening.
How do you like parenting?
I love parenting because parenting, once I became a dad, and this sounds so cliche, but I'm gonna paraphrase Dana Gould.
Get ready.
All the stuff that was important to me, I realized wasn't important. Like all this status shit, this. Like, oh, wait a minute, that doesn't fucking matter. I'm in charge of a life here. This is amazing, and I can hopefully, and I'm very honest with her about like, oh, this is something that I used to do wrong. I can see you going on this path because epigenetics, you've got the same from me, but you can be conscious of it and try to change it.
How do you do it? Just
being very honest with them and sometimes being a little bit not strict, but just like, I'm just telling you, and I know that you're going to want to experience this, and that's how you'll find out. But I'm just telling you where this will take you. I know where this will take you. I can tell you.
How old's your daughter?
My own story. She's 15 now. Yeah, it's insane. Do you have kids?
No, I have like I have like a girlfriend with a kid, so I'm like,
oh, nice,
adjacent.
How old is her child?
3.5.
Oh, that's the
best. He's great.
That's the best.
Yeah, he gets bigger every week. Shit, like all the
exactly.
Shit.
No, they grow up very, very, very quickly.
It changes you, right?
Absolutely, but that's the thing. Every single thing in life changes you, even trying to resist change. Like people that I know that remain child-free, that didn't get married, that no, I just want this life, they end up changing. They just don't realize it. Everything changes you, even a lack of experience, even a lack of incident that would change you can end up changing you because it can calcify you and you can become an even more frozen version of what you are earlier. That's a form of change.
Do you think it can be positive or do you think that's always negative?
I don't know. On an extreme level, like with a Henry Darger thing, a guy that literally never left his apartment but ended up making some genuinely unforgettable art. But he kind of H.P. Lovecraft, who just rejected life and did create some art that has lived beyond him. But those are extreme examples. I would hope that people would open themselves up to as big a version of the canvas of life as they could possibly get. Experience as much stuff as you can, the good and the bad.
Hey, you ever go too hard and you get stonk up? Are you stonked up? You stank up? Did you stink it? Your 3-in-1 conditioner body wash ain't cutting it? From the founders of Lumi, Mando whole body deodorant is helping men conquer their odor in a new way. Formulated with mandelic acid, Mando has long-lasting 72-hour odor control that actually stops odor before it starts. Best part is you can put Mando everywhere. Pits, packages, feet, skin folds, back, knees, literally any part I didn't say. Your neck. I like throwing neck in. People don't think. Your ears even. No one's going to stop you, and it's going to feel good. And to top it off, Mando's cologne quality scents were created with men in mind. You could try their best-selling bourbon leather scent, but you know what I like? I like Mount Fuji. Bit of an Asia-phile, but I just like it. It's fresh, crisp. I enjoy it. And once you experience fresher underarms, a fresher package, and fresher feet, you'll never go back. Special offer alert. Woo, woo, woo. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code and link. Use code NEAL at shopmando.com. That's shopmando.com. Use code Neal. It always seemed like you could put deodorant in other places, but we didn't know. We never tried it. And then it's one of those things that Mando was just like, try it. And you can literally do it. Like I said, haunches. I'll do my shoulders, up my back, my upper back. I don't know, why not? It's good. It's not cakey. It doesn't screw your shirt up. It's just good. It's safe to use anywhere in your body. Not going to burn. It's not going to be chalky or filmy or any of the stuff you don't want it to be. Put it literally anywhere on your body. It was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Mando whole body deodorant is powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use everywhere, allowing you to put Mando on family jewels without any worry, because Mando is aluminum free, baking soda free, cruelty free, dye free, vegan, bing, dong. It's clinically proven to control odor better than a shower with soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level was 5 out of 10. With Mando, the average grundle odor level is 0 out of 10. I don't know how they did it, but I'm going to trust that they did it. Mando Starter Pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, and free shipping. Luckily, I have a discount to help you get hooked on my favorite smelling whole body deodorant on the market. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Use code NEAL at shopmando.com, shopmando.com. It's time to smell better naked. Your partner will thank you. Your dog will thank you. You'll thank yourself. Thank yourself. Shopmando.com, code Neal. Arr. And how are you? How have you been in relationships? Romantic ones.
I've been okay. I haven't been in a lot of like deep relationships. I've had like, I would say 4 very deep relationships in my life, like that went on longer. And I'm very, in a weird way, I had a lot of growing up to do. Was very immature. I was very, very ambitious when I was young. So there was a lot of times when I just didn't make that person the number one priority. I was like, I've got to, and so I'm very lucky that my current wife, my forever wife, and my current wife,
my most recent wife,
my wife for the 2020s. I met her when I had gone through, I think, a lot of trauma and a lot of maturing, and it's almost like I had grown to a point where I was like, I could be with someone as amazing as her, because she has really been through some stuff and really has kept a core moral compass unlike anything I've ever seen. And I always didn't have that. And so she just really kind of just lives by example rather than like by lecturing.
Can you tell me how you changed in that period?
Well, I mean, having a wife die is terrifying.
Who were you a year before?
A year before Michelle passed, or
before Michelle passed? Yeah,
I was, a very, very happy husband, dad. Still not 100% believing in myself. Was still looking
as a parent, as a husband?
as an artist and / parent, like as a provider. Like I was approaching my art at that point, like, well, can I provide for my family? So I was taking every gig. I was saying yes to every movie, and I was gone way too much. And I was operating out of panic rather than out of confidence, rather than out of this isn't right for you, man. Don't worry about the money. Go and be with your family for a while and figure out what you want to do. So it took me a while to kind of, realize that. But I was very, I wasn't as confident as I am now. And real confidence doesn't come from like braggadocio. It comes from, I think, humility, embracing true humility and going, oh yeah, this isn't all about me. I'm not the central character in this. I don't have to be the central character all the time. Sometimes you can hang back and listen. Your time's going to come later.
You're talking about in specific projects, or you're talking about in life?
In life, I still wanted to be the center. And with Michelle, it took me a while to realize, to my discredit, this is even before she passed. Luckily, I realized that what she was doing as a true crime researcher, writer, was so much more extraordinary in a lot of ways than what I was doing. And for the first time in my life, on a 100% level, I was living for someone else, making sure someone else's dream was coming true and expediting what they wanted to have happen. Like, I will be home. I'll be taking care of Alice. You go do what you got to go to this police conference. You have to go talk to these victims and like be away for a couple weeks to get all this research down. I'm here. Let me take care of the fort.
Did you enjoy that?
Loved it.
Interesting.
It was so freeing to like, this has nothing to do with me right now. I am here.
Just a soldier.
I'm a soldier. I'm facilitating someone else's dream, and it's an amazing dream, and it feels fantastic. It's like when in a weird way, a true artist, when they get into the deep stuff, it's not about them anymore. They're facilitating this other vision. When you direct a movie, I even think when you do comedy and tell jokes, the jokes that really of mine that have really landed the hardest are the ones where it's not really about me. Mm-hmm. It's more about I'm serving this piece. I don't want to say this piece of art. It sounds so pretentious, but when you can really get outside of yourself, get outside of your need to be cool, your need to be the center, your need to be the alpha, that's when a really amazing work starts coming out.
So
it's scary to do that.
You feel like you're serving Michelle and this project and this sort of movement.
Yeah.
And then she fucking dies.
Yeah.
And then
that's you know what? She fucking died. There was so much. I remember I read C.S. right after she passed away. A friend of mine gave me C.S. Lewis's A Grief Observed. And the first line is, I did not know how much grief felt like terror. It was terror. Absolute terror. I have found this person I want to go through life with. My life is structured around her. It's structured around her daughter, and now she's gone. And so everything is collapsing. Everything is collapsing. It's terrifying.
And I don't think I'm going to be able to compensate for the collapse. I can't hold much of this up.
No, that I was absolutely like, please, somebody come and help me. Anybody. I just needed help. And all I wanted to do was just like, I wanted to like curl myself over Alice, who was 6 at the time, and just protect her. Like, in my mind, the world was just raining fire and meteors on us. And all I wanted to do was just protect her and not move.
How'd you do it?
Like first I almost did it like literally. I would like take her to school in the morning, and then just park outside the school and just sit and read and think and wait for 3:15 for her to come out and pick her up. We go get food, I just was just on her. That's all I wanted to do. Didn't want to do anything else. I was turning down work.
How long did you do that for?
A couple of months till school was done. It was right around near the end of April, so it was all of April, all of May. I mean, most of April, all of May, and then over the summer, I just wanted to travel with her. Like, we went back to my parents' house. I just wanted to give her constant movement and light and adventure, because I'm just like, I want to keep this darkness away from her. I'm like, I'll absorb all this darkness. And so I'll go take you to see your cousins. I'll go take you to see, my parents, and we'll just run around and have adventures. But the problem with that was I didn't show her my grief. I wanted to keep that from her because I thought that'd be even scarier if she saw. A couple times I like cried in front of her because you can't help it. You don't have any control. But I wanted to at least show her, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for you, you know. And so it just was moving. I remember when Michelle passed away, it was during the day and Alice was at school and I was freaking out and I called the luckily at that point Alice was very used to me going, hey, mommy's away because she's doing this thing. So I'm like, hey, you and I are going to check into a hotel for a couple days. And because mommy has to go and do all these interviews and we're going to have a fun daddy-daughter adventure. And tomorrow you don't have to go to school. We're going to go shopping because the principal said, don't tell her tonight what happened because then she has to go to sleep. Have her go to sleep like everything's fine and then tell her in the sunshine. So she has the day to deal with it. So all that night, I was scrambling. I was flying out. All of her cousins, my parents, all of her aunts and uncles flew them to the same hotel we were staying in. So the next day, when I did tell her, and it was the worst day of my life, then I go, now come with me. And we walked down the hall. And then in the room were all of her aunts, cousins, like, you're not going to have to do this alone. We're all here for you. And so, like, she immediately had that, like, but it was me just scrambling nonstop, just wanted to.
It also must just be like, for it to actually set in for her.
Yeah.
For you.
It took, I don't know if you remember after 9/11, not that I'm,
yeah, but it's your 9/11.
But there were remember those days after 9/11 where you're just like, wait, did that happen?
Yeah.
Wait, like, can I wake up out of this dream? Because I remember mornings I would have having a very horrible, very realistic dream, and then I would like will myself out of the dream, and then I'd be awake and it wasn't real. So there were days after Michelle died where I was trying to will, like, this is just a long dream that's going on way too long, and it's time to wake up. And I was so sure that I could do that.
Yeah.
Because again, terror. It's terror.
Yeah.
It's absolute terror.
And
you don't
when
want
did
it to
you
happen.
realize you could maintain?
Well, yeah, I realized I could maintain it. And that was another thing too, because I was like, I'm just going to exist. I am going to wake up in the morning. I will take care of Alice. Probably will never do stand-up again. I'll find another way to make money. Maybe I can write. I don't know. I certainly can't talk to people, but I'm going to merely exist. And
you couldn't talk to people because you were destroyed.
Yeah,
you're mirthless or what?
Absolutely. I wasn't even mirthless. I had no feelings. I didn't feel anything after a while. It was all terror and sadness.
Months we're talking about?
Months of that, and then nothing. Just, I was at husk. But then there was another father at her school who a couple years ago, his wife had passed away. And he, I remember him saying, here's what you're going to go through. You're going to go through terror and grief. Then you're going to feel nothing. And you're going to be okay feeling nothing because you're going to go, okay, I can exist this way and take care of my daughter. And then you will eventually feel joy again. You're going to feel horrible for feeling joy, but you will, because that's what your body needs to do. And you feeling joy and laughing and smiling is good for your daughter to see. And I married 9 months after my wife passed away. And you will probably meet someone and fall in love. And I was like,
that guy had also?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And
so it's a fairly common thing.
It is it is a very fairly common thing. And what was kind of funny was because I met Meredith, I didn't even meet her face to face till a year after Michelle died, but we started talking online because we had all these friends in common. And one of her friends threw these dinner parties and invited me and her and a bunch of other people. We're on this little Facebook thread. And I just, like, I can't go to this. And then Meredith was like, that was a great dinner. And then she goes, Patton, we didn't know. And she goes, hey, you missed the best fucking lasagna. And I went, story of my life. And then I sent her a message like, yeah, sorry I couldn't make it. I'm still freaking out. And she goes, I know you're. And then we just started talking. Wasn't romantic, wasn't flirty. Just, I realized what I missed was, I have someone I can talk to in the dark at the end of the day. And then we just kept doing that for 3 months. We never spoke on the phone, never met face to face, just talked every night poured out our brains to each other, and then it just turned romantic. And then when we met, we were in love before we met, basically. But then I talked to someone else because when we were going to get married, I'm like, this feels really weird. It's like a year and a half after. And then this other woman I knew that was a widow was like, I got married 7 years after my husband died, and people gave me shit for that. They're like, you waited too long. You cannot be.
You can't do it right.
You not only can you not do it right, you can't do it to please someone else's schedule. They've got to go through their own shit.
And also, you're the one who has to be in the fucking relationship.
I know, exactly.
Like, you have to sit there. You have to drive around and look for parking and the mundanity of.
But I found someone amazing to be mundane with. Well, that's a good phrase. You are the best person to be mundane with. That's when you know you found the perfect person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's sit around and eat.
When you're sitting in the car and you're waiting with this person, just get your fucking seatbelt on, get out of the space. You can see us waiting. And if you guys can make that fun, you've probably found the person you should be with.
I loved the documentary about Michelle.
Thank you. Yeah. That was amazing.
It makes me, the thing about it is, it's fucking terrifying. Among other, it's 10 different things. One of them is fucking terrifying. Like the explanation of the crimes,
and how present he was in that community and aware of the effect he was having on people, and was just constantly lurking. He's there just off screen, constantly lurking
with no pants on. Correct?
Terrifying. Yeah, he was just a complete fucking sadist. When I mean lurking off screen, I mean just within the overall communal psyche of the community.
And
he
then
was
at
very,
times
very aware.
in yards, in people's
Not
yards.
just yards, in bedrooms. He would go in bedrooms and he would like rape someone, and then he would go, I'm going to leave now. You lie here and don't move until I leave. Then he would literally stand there for hours, motionless, watching them, and then wait for them to start to move, and then he would shake the bed and then freak them out. Like, just sitting there tortured, like, just the
movie's called The Golden
monster.
State Killer, right?
The documentary's called I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
I'll Be Gone in the Dark.
Yeah.
I'm dead.
Which is something that he said in one of his letters, and it was just,
the thing I've been wanting to talk. It's been on my mind, and I wanted to ask you about it because you have firsthand.
Yeah.
What do you think of that industry? Meaning, the documentary of if I'm one of the victims' families and I'm driving down Sunset and I see a billboard for the fucking guy who murdered my sister,
right,
I'm gonna kill somebody.
Yeah, it depends. It's I call it.
You're in a different position, but yeah.
Well, you know,
but it's not that dissimilar.
Yeah, it's the serial killer industrial complex, which we all live with now. A big point to Michelle's work was she wanted to focus on the victims and on the people that were solving the crimes. And on one of our earliest dates, because I used to be into serial killers, but I knew all the stats about the killer. And she was into serial killers, not only knew all the stats, but knew the hunters, the police, the community organizers. That's who she focused on. And it really was a awakening and a maturing to me. Like, serial killers themselves are these zilches. They're just these nothings. Ted Bundy was an absolute below average zilch. But because he was good looking, they're like, so tragic that a potentially brilliant legal mind, he was a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
He was a fucking child, because that sells books, that sells. So she wanted to try to change that and focus on the victims. But yeah, there's a lot of these, they end up making these serial killers, these dark anti-heroes.
Yeah. Hannibal Lecter.
Just as dull as gray paint, you know. There and as James Ellroy said, he goes, the reason that Thomas Harris is a brilliant writer is because he created something that does not exist and made people scared of it. Same way Bram Stoker basically took the vampire thing, a thing that does not exist, and made people go, we gotta buy garlic and crosses and he goes, serial killers, when they're put in jail, they do not make clever handcuff keys and do cool escapes.
Yeah.
They watch pornography, or they find Jesus, they jerk off, they get fat, and they die.
Yeah.
Because that's who they were in real life.
Yeah.
There is, he goes, I've only written one serial killer novel because my agent said, do you want to make some money? Write one. And the whole it's called Killer on the Road. And it's about what a fucking loser the serial killer is, what a piece of shit zilch he is.
Yeah.
And how much he can't stand them. Because what you should be afraid of are people in power who are having a bad day, but who have a badge and a gun and license to do whatever the fuck they want. That's what's terrifying.
Yeah. And okay, so back to the other thing I was asking, which is so who did you become in the years after Michelle's death? Who, relative to who you were?
I became way more humble, way less cool, and way more comfortable with not being cool, and way more. I used to be very, very competitive with my friends because I was so insecure. I was so worried about being abandoned and left behind. And there were moments, I never did anything directly to it, but in my mind, in my head, I was doing we hate it when our friends become successful. And I was like, sometimes wishing for my friend's failure because I wanted to be the one that made it. And now, especially when I met Michelle and I found someone like, oh, it's so much more rewarding when you are aggressively, zealously supporting someone else's work and trying to make sure that they're doing better. And so because of that, and then also because of meeting Meredith is the biggest cheerleader for all of her friends. Like, she wants her friends to succeed in a very genuine way. And so I've very much come around to, I want the people that I love to do great and to put great work into the world. And then what I found out, ironically enough, is that makes my work better because I make the world more receptive to the kind of stuff that I'm doing when I'm promoting my friends and people that I love, that I want to, rather than tear stuff. The stuff that I hate now, I just ignore. I don't really tear it down anymore. And instead I try to, prop things up that I think need light on them. And it took me a long time to get there because I was really insecure. Then, we're all insecure when we get in this business. You don't want to be left out. You want to be in the fastest moving line. But a lot of times if you want to be in the fastest moving line, promote the stuff that you want to be doing better and then let it go from there.
Was it your behavior as a dad?
You know this. There's never that, unlike in movies and in some novels, there's never that one big moment of epiphany that changes you forever. It's in little stages, and it's 2 steps forward and 3 back, but you keep trying. But yeah, the meeting Michelle, kind of seeing her worldview, becoming a dad, going through grief, having everything stripped away from me, then meeting Meredith, who's a genuine, like, I want to uplift everyone, like, for real. Whereas a lot of times I would kind of give lip service to that, but she's the real deal. And so seeing all that, Meredith calls it, I just want to elevate everything. That's what she calls it. I want to elevate everything. And she always enters any situation of, how can I elevate this rather than rip it apart? So it was a long evolution for me because I'm thick. It takes me a while to learn lessons. You got to
Is there a way that like people could do it? I mean, I don't think is it pursuable?
It's absolutely pursuable if you enter it. And it took me a while to realize this. Just know that you're not going to have the one epiphany that changes you forever. It's something you got to show up for every day. And some days you're not going to show up, and you're going to have, I wasted that day. It's okay. Be present, acknowledge it, show up the next day. There were, if I based my comedy career on my every set I've ever had, then there's at least 15 sets, and there's 3 very specific ones I could point to that I had every reason just to quit. If you're going to base it on, oh my God, that's the worst set I've ever seen someone do, But you show up the next day. You wake up the next day. The world didn't end. You have another chance to get it right.
How long ago were those sets?
I remember I was doing one at the Improv. This was maybe 10 years ago. You would think that, okay, I'm at this point where people are happy to see me and I'd be good enough to, and this guy went on before me and he just annihilated. And then I went on stage and I was absolutely not connecting, and kind of being pissy about it. And then someone came back in the room and was like, the guy who was just on stage is hanging out in the bar. And like 3 different tables got up to go get their pictures with him. Like people getting up, like I would rather go look at that guy. So that's only 10 years ago.
Yep.
And there was a few months ago, I was trying out new stuff at this place called the Write-Off Room. And I followed a very good friend of mine who had stuff that was ready and it fucking killed. And I'm like, I'm committed to trying my new stuff. And I just absolutely friggin' ate it. Like it was one of those in your face, like you could not follow that person. Like that person was on and you were not.
Yeah.
And that is always in your future somewhere. It's okay.
Yeah, it's you were committed to trying new shit.
I'm going to try this new shit no matter what. Oh boy. Did I commit to that.
You have one on here, wanting to be loved. What's the downside of that?
You become a people pleaser and you live other people's lives and you live in anticipation of other people's approval of you rather than I want my work to be loved. I don't necessarily need to be loved, but I want you to at least love the work I'm doing. It's hard to separate yourself from that. It took me a long time to take my work seriously and not take myself seriously. And that can take you a long time.
Well, there's also the thing that's great about comedy is like, I just do it and put it out there and if you put it out there and it's not good, it's not comedy.
Exactly.
So this idea that you kind of have to be a people pleaser.
On some level, but you have to also please yourself in terms of, did I really do the work? Rather than, there's a lot of people right now, and I think this is just a phase that we'll all get out of, but there's a lot of people that are, to quote Mark Maron, there's a lot of comedians doing shows and there's a lot of comedians putting on rallies. Yeah. And so there's that whole thing of like, I don't give a fuck what people think. In fact, comedy is supposed to shake people up and upset them. No, it isn't. It's supposed to be making people laugh. I don't know how we veered off into that. It just comes down to, can you honestly look at the comedy and go, is this funny or not? Look, there's people I do not agree with personally that still make me laugh my ass off. And there's people that I love personally that do stuff that I'm like, fuck, I really love you and I love the comedy you do, but that bit wasn't even a fucking bit. Why are you doing that? And, so to be honest about both of them is really hard to do. Like, okay, for instance, there's a guy named Nick DiPaolo. Yep. Don't agree with him. A single opinion
Neither
that guy
do I,
has. But some of his shit is so fucking funny. Like, I can still look at it as a comedian and go, that was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
That's a brilliantly
it's
crafted
like,
joke.
I don't think Hillary is a pedophile.
No.
But he does kind of.
He does.
And he's structured in a way that is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, and I'm just like, all right.
Yeah.
That's a good joke.
Yeah.
You know? And then there's other people, and I know that I got into all
I don't even know what exactly he thinks about Hillary Clinton, but some sort of crime family, whatever.
He thinks a lot of crazy stuff, and he also happens to be, look, H.P. Lovecraft believed some genuinely horrible shit and was also a great writer, so I don't know what the fuck to do with that, Yep. And there's other people that are friends of mine that are just like, that bit, dude, what do you do? Mm-hmm. And they'll have it in the middle of a bunch of brilliant bits, but they have, every comedian has, some of them have, and sometimes it's the most brilliant comedians, have these weird hobby horses that they cannot jump off of. Mm-hmm. And they just grind down into like, this stopped being a comedy show, now it's a rally. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. This would be great if you could make a joke about it.
I don't know who or what you're talking about.
I can't wait for the comments.
What have been the biggest problems in your life? The biggest personal issues of your life that you had to overcome?
Jealousy, fear of abandonment, fear of being left out. And I think the biggest one is not acknowledging that what I hate in other people is what I actually hate in myself, and that I will come down harder on people. That the reason I'm coming down so hard on them is because I'm trying to chase away an aspect of myself and deny it. It's the same thing as like when a guy, is I am anti-gay marriage and I am the pro-family, and you're like, well, it's just a matter of time until
I would say like start the clock.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
I had a joke about this, but back in the 50s, the gay code language was like, we should hook Donna up with John. It's like, John's really great. He's really into like Broadway musicals. Do you know what I'm saying? And you're like, oh, I get it. But that thing now is like, we should hook Donna up with John. John's great, but he's really like into the family, like super. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. But yeah, so it was the not recognizing that the stuff I'm coming down hardest on other people is what I'm.
A lot of times, that's another form of jealousy I find as well. In that, they're
absolutely.
they're doing it more successfully.
How are they getting away with this shit? And I think a lot of the hatred towards Trump comes from people going, he does shit that I would be beside myself and be losing sleep over, like, oh my God, I was such an asshole.
Yeah.
And he doesn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
He absolutely doesn't think twice about it. And there is a level of jealousy there. Look, life is easier as a sociopath.
Yeah.
It is.
Yep.
The people that are, a lot of times I forgot where I read this, but if you look at comic books in the 30s, heroes are always drawn like this, upright, triangular shoulders, narrow waist, smiling, confident, and villains are these tormented, hunched over. And now, in comics, the villains are the upright, clear-eyed, psychopathic, confident, and the heroes are all these tormented Batman, Wolverine, Spider-Man, hunched over, weight of the world, weight of conscience on them, because that's what a real hero looks like.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
It's a pain in the ass.
All right, you got to go. But it was
so
great
sorry,
talking
man.
to you. No, don't
This was
sweat it.
fantastic, man.
It was great talking to you.
And by the way, anyone, I'm not saying this, like any young comedians out there, there's a bunch of really good specials out right now. David Tell, his special, Hot Cross Buns, and Neal's special. If you want to see a special where it is all meat, no filler, just stripped down, pure, it's a great reminder of like, oh yeah, comedy doesn't need a huge opening, short film segment, weird camera. No, it's just boom, boom, boom.
Thank you.
It's a good reminder. So check his special out.
Thank you. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming.